Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds.
Recently, I asked Mint Mobile's legal team if big wireless companies are allowed to raise prices due to inflation. They said yes. And then when I asked if raising prices technically violates those onerous two-year contracts, they said, "What the f*** are you talking about, you insane Hollywood ass?" So to recap, we're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month.
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
Welcome back to the Witching Hour with Miss Merlin, your one-stop source for everything witchy and magical. Thank you all so much for rejoining us, for coming back. Mel is here again today as well. Hey, Mel.
Hello, Happy New Year, everybody.
Yes, Happy New Year. I took a little bit of an extended break over Christmas, guys. Sorry about that. But I got to that stage of burnout. I just kind of needed to. So, yeah, well rested and feeling good. And we're going to talk about kind of what's going on with the astrology, things like that today, because there is a lot going on in the atmosphere.
That's for sure, yeah. A lot happening.
Yes. So we're gonna get into that. So yeah, that's what we're talking about today. So grateful you guys are back. We hope you all had a wonderful holiday, no matter what you celebrate, and that you're also feeling rested and good to go as well.
Yes, absolutely. So Kimmy, what did you do for the holiday, especially since it was your birthday as well? Happy birthday.
Thank you. Yes, is my birthday on the 24th of December. So that was nice. Just celebrated just with my family. I, of course, as most of you know, I'm a Yule person.
Yeah.
My family does celebrate Christmas. My dad's side is very Catholic. So, yeah, so we just I did a whole lot of cooking as per usual.
Right.
But I mean, that's one of my love languages. I don't mind. I love preparing food and, but yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot, as you know.
Yes.
You do too. It is a lot of work. You're making these big meals and then it's a lot of prep and a lot of energy goes into it. It's a lot of cleanup. And it's multiple times too. I'm doing like a breakfast brunch buffet thing and then, the big dinner and all that over the couple of days. But it was really, really nice. We had a really, really, really good time together. Some good laughs and really, really blessed time. So I'm very, very grateful.
That's what it's all about.
Yes.
No matter what we celebrate, whether it's the Yule or Christmas or Kwanzaa or Hanukkah, whatever it is, it's still a time for family, friends, loved ones, cooking, giving, receiving of energy.
Joy.
So
yeah.
It's a great thing, whatever it is. Doesn't really matter.
So what did you do, honey?
Oh, pretty much the same thing. I mean, my family does celebrate Christmas, but growing up with a Jewish father, we also celebrated Hanukkah.
Right.
So
do you still incorporate some of that?
Yes. So I always put up a menorah
Good.
to honor my father, and that's really about it as far as the traditional sense. But the whole holiday season, like from Thanksgiving on to the New Year, it's about reflection, it's about fun, it's about gathering, it's about celebration, it's about hustle and bustle of shopping and
charity.
Cooking and but it's beautiful. I love it anyway. It's my favorite time of year.
Yes. Yeah. No, it was really good. Yeah, we all had a really good time together. I was very, very blessed that everybody could be there and that everybody was healthy. Yeah. Yes. So I'm hoping that the same for all of you. I hope you all had a wonderful whatever you celebrated.
Right. Yeah.
And that it wasn't too overly stressful for you and that you just, enjoyed being surrounded by your loved ones. So that's what's most important. So we're going to talk about, like I said, we're going to talk about the current kind of astrology, what's going on. There has been a lot of shifts. And I know I've mentioned before, like New Year's always kind of depresses me. But this year is kind of different because it did feel like New Year's.
Right.
I don't really celebrate New Year because if you look at the seasons, right, that's not the time to start anew. Winter is the time for rest and solitude and reflection and healing and slowing down. You know, it's not until spring that's the time of that rebirth energy. But I do feel it. I feel it energetically, so I think some timelines are going to start to kind of catch up to it as we head into spring. I do feel a lot of really good things coming for spring.
That's great. Yeah, there's a lot going on for sure.
So as you guys know, we finished out a Mercury retrograde in about mid-December. So we were still moving through the energies of the post-shadow period till about the end of the year with that. So there would have still been some stuff coming up. But we've also had Mars go into retrograde. And Mars is in retrograde in Cancer right now. And it's really not comfortable there.
Yeah, it's tough.
Because Mars is that masculine energy, you know, that war and action and you know, and Cancer is very emotional. So those energies don't really feel good together. So depending on where Cancer is in your chart, it's going to be affecting you a lot there. Cardinal signs are going to feel quite affected by this. Everyone will. But so you might be noticing that you're more tired and fatigued right now.
Yeah.
And like this retrograde started, I think, was it beginning of December? I think.
I believe so.
I want to say December 6th. I could be wrong. Please don't quote me on that, okay? But it has been going on for a bit, okay? So this could be amping up, again, that type of energy, right? And that's that, like, toxic masculine energy, right? The war, the action, Yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that.
No, Cancer doesn't like to be in Mars. Mars is ruled, Aries is ruled by Mars.
Yes.
And as we know, Aries is a very rash, passionate, war, forceful kind of an energy. And when you have Cancer, which is about home, it's governing body is the moon. So it's about emotions. It's about being feminine. And
yes.
It's the second house. It's about the home. It's about family. It's about nurturing. And when you put that and Mars together, it's a conflict. You're being conflicted. So on the one hand, you might be quite emotional about certain things, but then you have the Mars, which is in retrograde, which is really about reflection, and it's about really thinking about how we've behaved in emotional sense, like what kinds of actions, what kinds of thoughts, what kinds of feelings, what kinds of wounds.
What are we still holding on to?
In regards to especially like a mother wound. Because Cancer is the nurturer of the zodiac. So with a lot of mother wounds, whether you are a mother yourself or you have a wound with your mother or any other feminine energy of authority. Right. So, we can feel hard on ourselves about the way we've been being parented or the way we parent. So these are the kinds of things that might be coming up for us as a collective. And yes, depending on where Cancer lies in your chart and Mars, it's conflicting. See, I'm a Aries Mars. Oh. So this is a very unusual kind of an energy for me. I mean, I'm Aquarius too, so I don't have any Cancer in my chart, but it is my second house. So I'm kind of getting that I need to kind of relax, and I have to kind of focus on my family. I have to focus on myself as a mother, as a daughter, because I have a live-in mother who's suffering from dementia. So, and I have a son who's autistic. So I have both spectrums. I have how am I being supportive as a daughter? How am I being supported as a daughter, which is a difficult thing right now? How am I being supportive as a mother?
Yeah.
Am I doing the right thing? So this is kind of...
and not forgetting about yourself, too. How are you emotionally supporting yourself through all of that? Yeah.
Right. So it's a difficult balance, for sure. It's something that's been happening. And when we had that Cancer full moon, together with that Mars, that Cancer and Mars, it was not fun. It was very chaotic kind of an energy, actually. It was kind of, it wiped me out. But yet, I felt like a flurry to hurry up and do things that I needed to do. Yeah. So it was just really weird energy.
It was like, and that's what it was. It was conflicting. It was hurry up and wait energy. Like, what am I rushing through? What am I hurrying up for? Because there's nothing going on right now, right? But there's that sense of urgency. But yeah, we're being called to be like the seasons right now. You know, just... take this time with this winter and slow down and, you know, wrap yourself up in a blanket burrito and take a nap, you know, focus on what your body is telling you it needs right now. Because with that retrograde moving through Cancer, you're going to be more emotional, and that may come out in those forms of anger or rage, things like that. Okay. Some of that might be more heightened at this time. If you see also playing out on the world stage as well, we see the rise up of toxic masculinity, right? we're seeing it in the United States, you know, with these ridiculous people in power. And you know, these other people that are getting appointed that are just terrible humans. It's like, what? And it's on display for all to see. But that's what we're seeing. This is that display of that Mars, toxic Mars, masculine energy. The war, like, look what, I don't mean to get political, but I'm just using it as an example. The Oompa Loompa elect is not even in office yet, and it was already saying we're going to take... Sorry.
Some names for that person, but that one takes the cake. I say Cheeto Man.
Yeah,
but,
it's good
Orange
with
Man, Cheeto Man, but I like Oompa.
Anyways, yeah, I'm surprised you haven't heard me use that one before. That's one of my favorites. Yeah. Oh my goodness. But oh shoot, I lost my train of thought now because I was giggling. Oh, okay. But yeah. But look, like, he wasn't even in office yet and already saying, like, we're going to take Greenland and we're going to annex Canada and, like, saying all these ridiculous things that trying to start a war. So don't get caught up in it, okay? In the distraction of what is happening right now. Okay, when things look like the opposite of what is supposed to be happening right now, and the divide that is kind of perpetuating right now, and even though it's horrible, it's awful, the wildfires. You know, my love to everyone affected by that. But that is kind of contrasting the energy of what that toxic masculinity was trying to do. Again, divide and conquer. And now we're seeing this beautiful example again of people coming together and love being shown. And, you know, as that example, he's made a lot of Canadians really mad. And still, there was no hesitation. And our firefighters and bombers on the way. No hesitation. You know, just all these people that get shit on, you know, are the ones coming to aid right now. Like the Navajo Nation. And we have a bunch of Latino firefighters as well, you know. It's like, this needs to be kept in mind. But this is what's presenting, what we're seeing examples of. As much as that toxic masculine tries to, again, conquer, divide, anger, war, rage, it's still always going to be overtaken by that light.
Yeah.
You know, of humanity and love. You know,
Right.
displays of it everywhere. Yeah. So one thing that the Mars retrograde was bringing up. So again, moving through Cancer. So it's going to bring up anything you're still emotionally holding on to. Okay. And again, this might come out in the form of anger. So, you know, repressed emotions towards certain things. Mel mentioned the wounding. Okay. So just let it come. Let it come up. Feel the emotion. Move through it. Unfortunately, that's the only way, you know, to get through it. We have to feel to heal. But anything that you're being delayed on right now, you feel like you're being delayed on right now, or you're really angry about, or anything that kind of feels like a blockage to you, or a revisit too, because something in your life could be circling back around and you're like, I thought I was done with this, you know? Just try to move through this stuff, because when we move into the spring, right? When this comes out of the retrograde here, it comes out in April, but whatever you were kind of paused on, you know, or detoured on right now, you're going to get back times 10 in June. Okay. So all that abundance is going to come in June.
Right.
Yeah. Especially for those cardinal signs.
Yes, it's a tough time. I think that the fires are a great representation of Cancer in Mars, actually.
Yes.
Because you got all that fire from Mars, and then you got Cancer trying to get Mars to figure out deep down inside what's happening. And so there's too much conflict there. So when there's conflict, it's just, you're going to get fire. You know, unfortunately, figuratively and literally, you're going to get fire, and it's unfortunate what's happening in California. My heart goes to them. My prayers, for sure.
Oh, me too. And I just want to say something too, and I want to shout anybody out who's involved in this, because it's disgusting. But I think like the outpouring of love that's happening for California right now is wonderful, but there's also a cesspool of online community that's like, oh, they're all celebrity homes. They're all rich people. Let it burn. Like, no. And no. Like, what the hell is wrong with you? Give your head a shake, okay? Like, yes, some rich people and some celebrities lost their homes. Yeah, they did. But they're still humans, okay? They still have baby books and you know, heirlooms and things that they lost. And they're allowed to cry. Like, I have to say this, because I thought it was awful. But I came across like this video of Whitney Cummings. As she was leaving her home, she was crying. Of course she was. Right. There's a fire about to wipe out her entire home. Her everything, you know? In like a blink of an eye. And, like, people were all over her comment section, like, for her crying about it because she's rich.
So what?
So
it's
what?
Still her property. It's still her home.
Exactly.
It's still
and
her
it wasn't.
livelihood. My gosh.
It wasn't only celebrities and rich people who lost their homes and are still possibly losing their homes. Like, this is what we need to keep in mind here. And, you know, be mad at the insurance companies, okay? Don't be mad at at people who may have more than you know, that potentially lost everything. Be mad at the insurance companies who took away insurance for millions of people, and now they have no money to rebuild or anything. Like, that's where the anger needs to be directed to, and the disdain.
It shouldn't matter whether the person that lost their home or is being displaced is a celebrity or not. There are still people. We're still a collective of humans.
Yes.
And as a human, where is the humanity in what's happening? And it's not even just the humans. What about all these poor animals that live there? The pets, the animals living in the forest, in the wilderness. You know, it's not. That's what I mean. There's just this separateness that's still there, very
Yeah.
much present, and we really need to come together as
Yeah.
just people living on this beautiful planet, and we have to support one another. And to condemn people for the fact that they may have money,
Yeah.
it's a shame, and it's sad, and it's hateful, and there's really no room for that if we want to progress as humans.
No. And you know where else we saw an example of this, and it disgusted me then too, was with the sub.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people were just like, they just didn't care because they're
Right.
billionaires or whatever. They're
Right.
still humans. And
Right.
one of them was a child, for Christ's sakes. He was like 14 years old.
Right.
You know, he's just a mother who loves him and is going to have to grieve that loss, and family and friends. And like, it's still a human being. It's disgusting.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of that energy needs to be purged out too.
Yeah, and this is what this is all about. Actually, with the nodes changing,
Yes.
this past 11th, we changed from Aries Libra axis to now Virgo Pisces North Node, Virgo South Node,
Mm-hmm.
and with that change, and we're gonna feel it more when the eclipses come, because that's when the energies are actually really gonna shift between the axis points. And so we're going to go from being very perfectionists, like very detail-oriented, very complaining, criticizing. We're going to move away from that because that's Virgo South Node, and we're moving into more of a Pisces vision, energy, way of thinking, which is going from material to more of a spiritual awakening. So I think with all these experiences that have been happening, I think that it has to happen in order for people to really understand that what you see here in your 3D reality that's not all there is to it. It's not even the most important thing there is. When you go and you start moving into a Pisces way of thinking, and for 18 months we're going to have this, we're going to see that there's going to be such a large call to the light, to spiritual awakening, to ascension, to just understanding that hope, faith, and trust is more important than what you see in your everyday life, in your 3D reality. So there's going to be a huge shift in the way people think about things, the way people think about what reality truly is, and that there is more than one. So there's going to be a large shift, and I think it's great, and I'm looking forward to it. And I can feel it already happening in the way that just when we had that Aries Libra axis, it was more about relationship versus individuality, going from being relationship oriented to more of an individual leadership kind of thing, being very independent versus codependent. But this is going to be less material, more spiritual. And that's really a culmination of things that we really need to understand, grasp, and start living our lives with.
Yeah. Something else I was kind of noticing as a bit of a pattern. Remember how last time we were talking about the astrology, we were saying that this is going to bring in a shift that's going to show us new tech and things like that. And I'm kind of finding it interesting that we're in like the second week of the year and we have already what looks to be maybe the fall of social media happening here.
Yep. The TikTok thing.
Yep. And not only that, right? People are now mad at Meta because Zuckerberg is being a little punk and bending to things, and now you can't find truth anywhere because there's no fact checking or anything like that going on with the TikTok ban happening in the United States, which I think is awful because there's so many people that are making a living that way, and to take that away from them is criminal. It really is. And it is absolutely against your own amendment of free speech. So I think that's ridiculous. But that's what I'm saying. Like, they're trying to shut that down. And the reason they're trying to shut that down is because the truth is getting out there. You can't be controlled. You know, like these social media platforms that we've all been familiar with, the information on it can be pushed and tweaked, and there's a reason it's called influencing.
Right, of course.
You know, you get influenced, right? So with agendas, like, you can't go on X anymore.
Right.
Ridiculous. And now TikTok is being silenced because it is showing the truth. And it's showing the truth about certain things that the media doesn't show either, because the media is also being pushed by certain agendas, some more than others. But the truth is getting out there, and people are getting upset about it, and people are not being apathetic to it like it used to be. And I think a lot of that had to do with maybe we were hearing about things, but you know, but now people are showing videos of certain things. It can't be denied. You can't, right? So that's why I think that the real reason behind shutting it down is.
Yeah, well, you know, Pluto went from Capricorn to Aquarius, so the way things were going had to change once you move from Capricorn to Aquarius. So you're going to see, even if they try to shut one method down, there's going to be other ways to get messages across.
That's what I'm saying.
It's about out of the box thinking now for the next 19 years. So people are going to become more and more creative about how to share messages that need to be shared.
Well, this is what I'm saying. We were saying some sort of new tech was going to come in. And now we're kind of seeing the collapse of this because people don't trust Meta anymore. You know, like Threads, for example. There's nothing true on that. That's all a numbers game. People just post ridiculous stuff to get people to comment and for post engagement. Like, there's no truth or substance on it at all. It's ridiculous. And, you know, Facebook, obviously, going to be the same as X pretty soon. And so now, with people not trusting those things, they won't be using them. And now people in the States won't be able to use TikTok. They're going to be looking for another way, like Mel said, to get the messages out, to get the truth out, to connect to, you know, and again, people do it to make money. So they're looking for new ways to make income off it. So it's going to call for something else to be created that is going to meet all those needs. So it's really interesting, like, what we're seeing right now.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's exciting. It's setting up for, like, I just keep, like, to myself, like, you know, because months and months ago, we said, like, all this stuff was going to happen.
And it's happening little by little.
Yeah. I try to not be like that, but I can't help it. There's always, like, a little part of me that's like, I freaking told you so, man.
That's your Gemini moon talking.
It is, but I think it's also, like, you know, from being an intuitive person your whole life, you say things and people are like, "You're crazy," you know. So you kind of can't help it.
Happening, hello.
Yeah. So you kind of can't help it when you know, things people told you were crazy, and it starts to be right.
Exactly. Yes, I told you so. See, there you go.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So this Pluto in Aquarius is really going to change the way we communicate, the way we do things. It's going to be out of the box kind of thinking, things we've never thought about doing. You're going to do. The tech industry is going to be changing. Electronics. New devices, new computer features. You're going to see all of that. Improvements, changes in everything, in all industries. There's going to be big changes.
Yeah. Another trend you're going to see more of, too, is people wanting to be healthier.
Sure.
Yeah. So like really paying attention to the chemicals and additives and things like that in their food, and the pesticides used, and wanting to eat things that are more organic, so to speak, not so processed, and all of that. And just people generally wanting to be healthier. I'm seeing an upswing on that as well, which is wonderful.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Well, North Node in Pisces, I've learned in my spiritual journey that the more you pay attention to your intuition and the spiritualness of yourself, your soul, and what it needs, you're going to be paying attention to natural resources more. What can you do for your body, your mind, your heart, your soul? Because it's all connected.
It is.
So, when we're going through this awakening phase with Pisces in the North Node, we're going to be moving towards what we used to feel was comforting, I guess, to more of a broadening of your mind kind of thing, just embracing differences and just having more faith and more trust and more hope, and seeing that there are things bigger than ourselves. And it's just going to be quite amazing these next couple of years, I think. Yeah.
It's a cause to be optimistic for sure. I would like to see some more love for the planet.
Yes.
There's so much denying of climate change, and it's horrible because just in one country, if you're doing that, your decisions and what you're doing and what you're ignoring affects everyone else around you. It's time to not be so selfish. It's just, it really is. And, I've been concerned about this, of course, as a Canadian. There's a lot of climate change denying in the U.S., and that's right next door to me.
Right.
We share a lot of water. We share a lot of ground, Yeah. So, and food, a lot of food, back and forth over the border, Right. So, it's been scary, but I would like to see more of that, I did see something that I thought was so fascinating, and it was awesome, and I think I shared it a little while back on my Instagram page. But someone has come up with, like, I guess it's a robot dolphin. And there's no way that you can tell that it's not a real dolphin.
Oh, okay.
So they could put this in an aquarium and have the children still come and learn about it and be able to see it. And it acts and moves and everything like a real dolphin. There's no way to tell it isn't. But then you don't have to have a real dolphin in a tiny tank, spending its life having people bang on tanks, or, like the life of animals in captivity is not a good one, people. Right. So that's something I would like to see stopped, zoos and aquariums and things like that. And again, people...
you might see it. Yeah, you might see it. They already created one. It just might become something mass-produced in all animals, and, leave the ones that should be left alone to live the way they're supposed to, their natural habitat, their natural, just living, just naturally, however they're supposed to. And we can just use these kinds of tools for learning and engaging in animals. They don't have to be the real thing.
Yeah.
But close to it is great.
Yeah. And like, again, if you took kindergartners, on a school trip to that aquarium, unless you told them, hey, that dolphin's not real, it's a robot, they would not know that. There's no way to tell the difference.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They don't need to know.
No. And, the water needs to get cleaned up. Plastic is a huge issue. Yeah. All of those things. weigh very, very heavy on my mind a lot.
Right.
Yeah. Very plugged into the earth, though. That's, you know, I'm a Capricorn, too, by sun sign. So, and yeah, the earth is changing. She's shifting. She's healing as well. So that is another reason why we're seeing a lot of these natural disasters as well. She's like putting it in your face. You can't deny what's happening here anymore.
Right.
You know, like...
Right.
Because there's been earthquakes and fires and tsunamis, you name it.
Yeah.
It's been happening. So it's like, what is going on here? But that is exactly what's happening. Things are happening on an energetic level. Things are shifting. So we're starting to see things happening in the physical world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, it starts with the energy, and then, it manifests into something more tangible. Sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know if I 100% buy into the whole, like, New Earth type, the whole Dolores Cannon thing.
Right.
Yeah, I think Dolores Cannon was a very brilliant woman. I don't deny that at all, but I do get a little hesitant still when people are, speaking from quote unquote higher consciousness.
Right.
But yet they're still very attached to some form of organized religion. That makes me be weary, like, because if you were at the consciousness level that you claim, then you would be above that.
Right.
You wouldn't still be tied to that.
Right.
So, yeah, that's a big red flag for me.
Yeah. I think, when it comes to religions, like, I feel, it's been my experience that religions were created so that humanity from different parts of the world would find some way to believe in something bigger than themselves. Like, I'm not a religious person. I grew up with conflicting religions, being my mother was a Pentecostal Christian, my father was Jewish, so there was always conflict about religion, So for me, religion is really just about getting us to believe in something bigger than ourselves, whether we call it God, Creator,
faith.
Universe.
Yeah.
Right.
Faith is really important. Yeah.
Right.
Super important.
Right. And unfortunately, the religion or religious aspect is always going to have these principles that you should live by. And that's where I kind of veer off the religious aspect because I don't believe that anyone but my Creator should tell me how to live and what to do and how to feel and who to be.
Right.
So that's where, I believe religions they had a purpose. They were designed for us to believe in something greater than ourselves. But as far as living by a religion, following rules, that's where I've never been a rule follower anyway.
Oh, me neither.
That's where I kind of move away from that line of thinking. But it does serve its purpose.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I'm not negating that at all. I do have a little bit of wounding around that myself.
Sure.
And that's a deep ancestral thing. But it's also just, my logic and looking at the patterning also.
Right.
Because, spectrum plus ADHD, I see patterns in everything.
Sure.
And here's my beef with, I'm not going to say organized religion because I don't have a problem with some of the other Christian Catholicism, that kind of stuff. This is my beef with them, is that you're started out with guilt from the day you're born. Someone else died for your sins. You're not even old enough to have enjoyed sinning yet. Right. And who made up these rules of sins anyway? It was started by the patriarchy. You know,
Yeah.
if it was started from a place of faith, then I'd be more forgiving with it. But it wasn't. You know, and this is not people practicing. Nope, not talking about that. I'm talking about the people in power, the people who created, the people who are in charge of it, right? It was patriarchy. It was a form of control. You know, a mass way of getting people to follow this set of rules for fear of eternal damnation if you're quote unquote bad. You know, again, started out with guilt from the day you were born. And I'm sorry to say, but go ahead and look at the history books if you want to challenge me on this. But for people, you know, who preach what they preach, they have more blood on their hands than anyone else on the planet. Because for a long time, you know, a millennia, it was convert or be killed or be tortured. And if you went up against it, you were wiped out.
Right.
And that's not fair. You can, you know, coexist. But that's what it was. Control.
Right.
If you're not going to convert to our rules and our way of thinking and this, then we're going to kill you. We're going to wipe you out, you know? And that's my biggest beef with it. And that it's used and manipulated so much for the wrong reasons, for nefarious purposes.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's continuing even now with
Exactly.
conform or be outed, conform or be made fun of. Conform. I mean, that's bullying. It's just the way it is. You know, with anyone who's different from the norm, quote unquote norm, you're going to be outed. You're going to be made fun of. You're going to not be supported. You feel like an outcast, and this is all going to change now. This is the beginning of the change.
And I want to see that too. Because, you know, my other beef with it, too, is there's an arrogance that surrounds it. You know, that you're wrong if you don't believe what I believe. And so, and also not just like, okay, you can believe what you believe and stay over there, and I'll believe what I believe and stay over here. Like, it's just, it's my way or die. Like, look at the holidays. All the holidays are surrounded by those religions. You say people, you know, we just went through the holiday season, you know. I always say happy holidays. Because
me too.
I am not subscribed. I unsubscribed from religion when I was in grade 8. You know? Unfollow. So, no, I can say what I want. And people get very uptight about that. And they're like, Merry Christmas. You know, and they'll like force it back at you. It's like, no, because let me tell you something. As we discussed before on a previous episode, you know, Christmas is pagan, you know.
Yeah.
So, I could go into a whole debate about that. So that is not something that someone wants to challenge me on.
I just believe, you know what, you celebrate whatever you want to celebrate. It's all good. And you can call it whatever you want to call it. It's happy holidays. It covers everybody. If I know someone is definitely celebrating Christmas, of course, Merry Christmas. If they're celebrating, sure. But for people to get offended because you say happy holidays over the specific holiday you're celebrating, I find that ridiculous, personally. I don't see why people get offended.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm talking about. My beef with that particular grouping is, you know, if you don't subscribe to what I subscribe with, you're just you're nothing.
You're separate. You're not enough.
Yeah, you're nothing.
You don't belong.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sorry to say too, but you know, not everyone practicing, of course. I'm not saying that at all. There's some very, very wonderful and kind and generous and just wanting to help people, you know, in organized religion, you know. But there's also the ones who are the judgiest,
Right.
Mother,
Right.
you know what's that I have ever met in my life.
Right.
You
No,
know?
it's true.
And I
Yeah.
experienced that myself in my own community because, again, my dad was Catholic, so that side of the family. So when we would go to church or whatever, you would be all loving and kind and, you know, peace and love and joy while you're inside the building, and then you walk
Right.
out and they're scowling at you. Like, you know,
Right. Talking behind your back.
Yeah. Like, it's like, are you kidding me right now?
Yeah, yeah.
The hypocrisy.
There is hypocrisy for sure.
Yeah.
Of course there is. I mean, that goes everywhere. It's everywhere. But that's why, you know, you believe what you believe and keep joy in your heart. I don't believe that the Creator is a creator of hatred or anger
No, or
you know, criticism,
bloodlust or punishment. Yeah.
Right, not at all. That's
Act
not
bad
God's
and I'll
deal.
fucking spank you, basically, from a father figure in the sky. No.
Right.
No.
Right. That's always my thing is, you know, how can you, and I'm talking about people that are very religious and whatever sect of religion they practice.
Mm-hmm.
They're the first ones to judge people
Yes.
who are not like themselves.
Exactly.
Like, you know, whether it's gender identification, homosexuality, whatever makes you not part of the quote unquote normal society.
Yeah.
You know, when you have people that claim to be religious and claim to be loving and all these other beautiful things that you're supposed to be anyway as a human.
Well, they preach. Go ahead, sorry.
Right, they preach. Right, they preach all of this love, but yet they're the first ones sometimes to bash, to criticize, to be judgmental over people that are not like themselves. And it's like, wait a minute, where is all of this love?
That's what I was going to
supposed to
say.
be preaching about. Practice what you preach.
Yeah, that's my beef. Is you preach unconditional love with a bag full of conditions. You know,
Right, exactly. Yeah, you have 10 conditions, but yeah, you're unconditionally loving. Sure, you are.
Yeah,
As long as you follow the conditions, yeah, great.
Yeah, yeah. But even like they're just judgy amongst the people in their own congregations and stuff.
Right. It's hypocrisy at its finest.
It is, and that's what bothers me. That's what bothers me. You know, and there is some wounding there. Like I said before, there's the ancestral stuff. You know, because the pagan side of my family, my mom's side of my family, like that goes all the way back to like the year 800 AD.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So that was a whole lot of religion coming in and wiping out my ancestors, you know?
Yeah. One set of ancestors wiping out the other, right?
Exactly. Yeah. It's so crazy. But it bothers me. And you know, it because I like history and I've looked into it, that really bothers me. Because, you know, if you're not familiar with it and you're alive today, you have no idea. No idea, you know, what it could have been like back then. Right. You know, and that's why I'm so grateful I can live out loud as whatever I want today.
Right.
Because if I was me back in that time, I would have been burned, hung, have my nails pulled off, be strung up, you know, by my arms, you know, have hot molten gold poured down your throat, like some sick stuff we're talking about here, people. Really sick stuff. And if you really think about it, it's like, oh my God. And the jails and the dungeons that people were thrown in and unfairly too. Yeah. And, you know, and some of those torture things were hideous, you know, and I'm not throwing all the blame over there. I'm definitely not, because my ancestry is Viking, and you know, as a people, they were pretty brutal.
Yeah, definitely tough.
And they had their own stuff that was pretty horrendous. So,
Right.
you know, but yeah, I'm just saying, like, it was really brutal, really, really brutal back then.
All
so
right.
it's a lot of gratitude for being able to
We're
be
living in better times for sure.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, I know all my ancestors are feeling a sense of peace right now, because you know me, I have a big old mouth, and there's not a filter on it a lot of the time.
Yes, we know.
Yeah, I speak my mind very loudly, and I am who I am very loudly. But that's what I'm saying. If I was back then, I'd have been taken. I never would have made it to the age I am right now.
Yeah.
No.
We're putting these bodies at this time for a reason.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I do think about that a lot. I do. It's not lost on me, for sure.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
Yeah. So what else do we have coming up astrologically that we should talk about? Was there anything we missed? We talked about Mars. Mars retrograde is over in April. I think April 4th, I think.
Uh-huh.
Don't quote me on that. But around
Something
there.
like that. Yeah,
Ish.
I'm not even sure, honestly.
I will say ish.
Yeah.
That keeps you safe.
Well, you know what? We have Pisces in 3 placements right now.
Yeah.
So it's in Neptune, it's in Venus, and it's in Saturn. So that is also going to play a part with the North Node now in Pisces.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a lot of, again, a spiritual awakening, restoration of hope, faith, trust, believing in something bigger than yourself. This next 18 months is going to be quite different.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. And
really
I'm here for it. You know, I think people should be more, you know, focused on, instead of just the grind. You know, how do I fulfill myself emotionally? How do I fulfill myself spiritually in whatever way I need to fulfill myself? Right?
Right.
How do I fulfill my health? How do I honor my body? You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the world around me. So it's going to be a beautiful time.
And I think, too, with all of this Pisces energy, I think that even like younger people are going to be awakening quicker than like you or I did.
Yes.
You know, like I know you went through experience awakening much younger than I did. I just became part or started embarking on my journey back in 2018 was, you know, a bit of how I awakened was 2018. Mm-hmm. And of course it was through various emotional and mental pain.
Yeah.
And physical pain too. You know, it's usually about some kind of traumatic experience that you have that gets you to finally start your journey, right?
Right. It was that for me, but also a crisis of faith.
Right. There's something
it was
major
letting go
that
of the
happens.
religion stuff.
Right.
And for me, to be 100% honest about it, I'm sorry I interrupted you, but I need to get this thought out.
That's okay. No, go ahead.
For me, I'm being 100% honest. I cried out to Jesus. I cried out to God many times in moments. Mm-hmm. And I was always met with silence. It wasn't until I really started tapping into my ancestry and I cried out to Freya and Odin. And not just them. You know, I don't just reserve it for Norse. Hecate and Persephone and Lilith, they are the ones who answered me. Those are the presences that I felt.
Right.
that shook me to my core.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's kind of what did it for me.
Yeah. See, everybody has their own personal journey, their own personal story about how they got to where they are right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that younger and younger people are going to start, because first of all, the generations now that are being born, a lot of them are like indigo children and rainbow children and all, children of the light.
Yeah.
So I think that they're going to be more open to things that are not explained tangibly, scientifically. They're going to be seeing more and more miracles, magic. I think they're going to be more open to the childlike, innocent energy that's here that we as adults sometimes forget about, because we're so focused on material and about 3D living that we sometimes just forget about the beautiful miracles that are occurring every day outside our windows, in our homes, and just within ourselves.
Yeah.
So I think that the awakening is really going to be taking place at a quicker pace.
Yeah.
Because more and more people at a younger age are starting to be on their own personal journeys.
Yeah. Well,
it's gonna do it.
Something else I'm seeing too is more young people are critical thinkers.
Sure.
They're asking questions, not just going to the conditioned, indoctrined, this is what you're supposed to do, this is what you're supposed to believe. They're asking questions like, wait a minute, why?
Right.
And they're being encouraged by, those who kind of awaken before them to ask those questions.
Right.
Instead of just being like hushed and whatever, that we were all suppressed, right?
Right.
When we wanted to critically think, so I'm seeing a lot of that. Yeah. And especially in my sons. My sons are in their early 20s and they're the same. And I love to see it, but I taught them to be that way. And it's frustrating sometimes because I would tell them something and they were like, well, Mom, and they would have a really good point, but I'm trying to be in control at that moment. You're not allowed to challenge me. And you're especially not allowed to do it in a very smart way because that's just not fair.
Right.
But they're my children, so what do I expect? But
yeah, no, it's true. It's true. I see that in my son too. I have a 26-year-old son, and he's very open-minded because I've taken steps and I've taken great care in having him be open-minded and well-rounded and just embracing change and embracing questions that you have, and being open to whatever he's questioning, always having an open dialogue, and he's very in tune to spirituality because of it, and I'm really proud of him for that, because he has his own ways of thinking about things. He's a Virgo, so he's very, very particular about what he thinks, but he is very open to understanding what he doesn't understand. And if I can direct him, guide him, share with him information, he's very open to that. Yeah,
to listening to it, even if he's not going to change his opinion. But instead of just, that whole shutdown.
He's willing to listen. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely one thing I've seen a shift in with young people. Yeah. They're more open-minded to that, right? And we have to be also when they challenge us and ask us questions, which is difficult,
Yeah, it is.
I had a very hard time with that.
As I say, not as I do.
Yes.
But we can't do that because they copy what we do, not what we say.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was hard. It was hard because it was just me, right? With my boys, and I kind of loved hanging out with them sometimes because they were so funny. But yeah, it's hard to be a parent sometimes because I'll give you this example, and I still use this to this day. my one son will say something to my other son, And it'll be like a really good one. And he'll be like, Mom, did you hear that? I'm like, yes, I did. It was a good one. It was an intelligent burn. I'll allow it.
Now, you see, if that was our parents and we were doing that, it would have been a very different response to that very same scenario.
Yeah. But it also diffuses the situation because even though they're kind of aggravated at each other, as soon as I say that, they can't help but to be like, Mom, you're ridiculous, and laugh kind of, you know.
Right, exactly. It's a different reaction to what we would have experienced back in the day.
For sure.
So,
yeah,
cool.
But I think that's a great place to leave it for today.
Yes.
Yeah. So again, I'll be back again next week, next Thursday. Creator willing.
Yeah. Yes. It's in the cards. It's your destiny.
Yeah. And who knows what tech we might have by then. There might be totally different ways to do things. You never know.
You never know. Day by day, there's always something changing, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's crazy. It's hard to keep up now. But
yes.
Yeah. You just got to kind of roll with it.
Yes. I agree.
All right, guys, if you want to follow my social media, I will link it below. Thank you again for joining us. Thank you, Mel, for being here again.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure. It's always fun. And we talk well. We talk about lots of interesting things, so it's always a blast to be on here.
Yeah, it's always fun. It's always a good time. Lots of cool information comes through each time. I'm grateful for it.
For sure. Yeah, me too. Definitely.
Yes, and I'm grateful for all of you. So if you'd like to book a personal service with me, you can find all my pricing and all of that stuff, all the layouts on my Instagram is the easiest way to find it in my services and pricing highlight. I will see you guys next week. Take good care until then. I wish the best for everything for you and everything that matters to you. And remember to keep manifesting and make your own magic. See you later, guys.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye.